Welcome back, everyone. This is Sunday and I have got today for you Willbee the Bumblebee. This is another one in the Wonky Donkey series by Craig Smith and Maureen Thompson. So I hope you enjoy this one. Listen along. Willbee the Bumblebee. Feels funny peeking around the side of the story, but anyway, sometimes that has to be. Willbee the Bumblebee lives his life in your garden so happily. I'm sure most of you know how important bumblebees are, and you know that they only bite, they don't sting. So please don't kill bumblebees. Don't kill bees either, because they die once they've stung you anyway. Anyhow, let's on with the story. Up early in the morning till evening hour, flying around from flower to flower. There he goes. Going a bit closer. There he is. Excellent. Now, everyone knows, I suppose, without bees in your garden, nothing grows. They take the pollen to where it's supposed to be. That's how nature works. Good job, Willbee. So there he is. He's flying from flower to flower to make sure that we get more flowers and more seeds. Now, bumblebees, from the day they are born, wear a black and yellow jersey just to keep them warm. And Willbee's is special. It was a perfect fit because Willbee's mother had knitted it. Oops. Here we are. There's his mother doing the knitting, measuring him up. Perfect. Willbee was out one sunny day. Unknown to him, his jersey had begun to fray, and his jersey caught where it was torn, right on the end of a rose's thorn. Oh no, poor Willbee, and look, he's flying away over there, and he is over here, and as Willbee flew away, he did not stop. His jersey unravelled from the bottom to the top. And when he realised this, he lost his hum. Poor Willbee. He lost his hum. Hold that thought. He was showing the whole garden his bare bum. Well, with no jersey and being late in the day, Willbee was cold. He couldn't fly away. He was so cold he couldn't fly away. Poor Willbee's trying to keep warm with his wings, but that's impossible. Oh dear. He was frightened and all alone. All he wanted to do was to get home. And look, find him there in the bush. Beautiful roses, he's hiding. Now Monica the butterfly, she flew down. She told Willbee to wipe off his frown. She'd seen what had happened and thought she knew what to do. She gathered all the wool up and off she flew. Now Monica is what sort of butterfly? If you don't know, you could find out. With the unravelled wool, she flew to Spider Steve and asked him for help because she knew he could weave. With a twist of his arm, she had him agree he would weave the wool they had and make a new jersey. Wow, look how many legs he's got. That would be perfect for weaving, but not normally Bumblebee's jerseys. Now Spider Steve, he finished so quickly, he used a pattern he'd found in the Woman's Weekly. Monnie, with a smile, she thanked him so, but Willbee needed help, and now she had to go. So his garden friends have helped him. There's Monica carrying his new jersey. She found Willbee where he was last. She said, "Quick, put this on, really, really fast." Looks pretty good to me. That would be a pretty cool thing to do, find out about those butterflies and find out the importance of bumblebees. And let me know. With his new jersey on, he got back his hum and his bits were warmed up, even his bum. Nobody wants to be cold. Willbee hugged Monnie with a big thank you. He asked her to thank Spider Steve for him too, but now back to his house he had to go, for he knew his mum would worry because she loved him so. Now, on a sunny day in your backyard, you might still see Willbee working hard, from flower to flower and carefree, wearing his new black and yellow jersey. Spider Steve made it just as good as his mum had. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed that story. There's 2 more in that series, so I'll read them tomorrow and the next day. So I started reading Bible stories for you, and I started at the very beginning at Genesis, which is the beginning of the Bible. But I've skipped forward because this week's a very special week coming up to Easter, and at the moment it's a very special time called the Passover. Now that story comes from the Bible as well, and it's something that happened to the Israelite people when they had to leave, when they left Egypt. So there's a story behind that too. But I'll just read you a bit of background. Things that I wrote just to give you a bit of background before we start the story today. So you know in Genesis that God created everything, and Adam and Eve walked with God. They were able to be with him in the beautiful Garden of Eden. Then they chose to disobey God by listening to the serpent and eating the forbidden fruit. They were sent out of the perfect garden where everything they needed was provided, and the animals all lived in peace together. That all changed. Now they knew what right and wrong was, good and evil. They had to work hard for their food, planting crops and hunting animals for their clothes and food. Nothing was easy anymore. The animals no longer were at peace with each other, so some became hunters and the others became their prey or their food. God didn't like being separated from them, from mankind, so he actually made up some rules for them to live by to keep them safe and healthy. And they had to do special things, and they had to make sacrifices to make up for when they did things wrong and when they were sorry. They were really hard to keep, and some never did. So some people in the world became very, very bad. And this made God sad. It also made God sad that he couldn't be with his people the way he had intended. So he had another plan. He sent his son Jesus to be born as a baby to Mary and Joseph. And that's why we celebrate Jesus' birth. And we do that at Christmas time. It's probably not the time of the year Jesus was born, but that's when we remember it. He grew up, and when he became a man, when he was 30 years old, he had a special task, and that was to teach the people about who he was and how they could return to God and be his friend again. He taught the people for 3 years, and then some who were against him and didn't believe him, they got really angry with him, and they plotted and planned to kill him and destroy him. Now that brings us to the next part of the story in the Bible and why we have Good Friday and Easter Sunday. I will read this part to you this week because it's nearly the time of Easter. So you might understand more about Easter. So this story is about Jesus, and he's 33 years old now, so he's quite grown up. Some of your mums and dads might be that age, they might be older. I've got a daughter who's, she's 35 now, but 2 years older than Jesus was at the story. So here he goes in the picture. And this part's about when Jesus was anointed. So listen carefully to the story. This is the week before Easter. The time was coming to celebrate the Passover. Every year the Jewish people gathered together to remember a special event that happened long ago, when God's people were slaves in Egypt. God did great things to rescue his people. The Pharaoh saw God's power and authority, and he let God's people go. God had used Moses to lead his people out of Egypt and to the promised land, because God had promised them a very special land to live in. God did not want the people to forget that time, so every year the Jews had a feast. Many Jews travelled to Jerusalem to celebrate. 6 days before the Passover feast began, Jesus went to the town of Bethany. Bethany was near Jerusalem, and Jesus' friend Lazarus lived there with his sisters Mary and Martha. Jesus went to his friend Simon's house for a meal. Jesus was reclining at the table, that means leaning back, sitting at the table, When Lazarus' sister Mary came to him, she had a jar of very expensive oil. The oil smelled good, like a perfume. Mary broke the jar open and poured the oil on Jesus' head. Jesus' disciples were very upset. They thought Mary had wasted the expensive oil because the oil was worth 300 denarii, which is about, in that time, a year's pay. One of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, said she could have sold the oil for a lot of money and then she could have given the money to the poor. Judas did not say this because he cared about the poor. He said it because he loved money. In fact, he was a thief. They told Mary that she had done the wrong thing, but Jesus spoke up and he said, "Leave her alone. She has done a very good thing for me." Then Jesus explained, "You will always have people around you who are poor, but you will not always have me. Mary has poured oil on my body to get it ready for burial." Jesus said that wherever the gospel was told in the whole world, people would also hear about Mary and what she had done. So Mary had given her best to Jesus as an act of worship. What are some ways that we can give our best to Jesus out of gratitude and worship to him, being thankful? So pouring the very expensive oil on Jesus was not a waste. It was worship. Jesus showed that he is more valuable than anything else in the whole world. He knew that he would soon die for the sinners, be buried, and rise from the dead on the third day. So tomorrow I will read you another story. So there's Mary anointing Jesus. I'll read you two more stories. Another one of the Wonky Donkey series and another one for the next part of the Bible. So there's some of the disciples. And disciples are the followers of Jesus, who Jesus was teaching. And they were the ones that when Jesus had gone, who would carry on spreading the gospel. So I hope you have enjoyed today's stories, and I hope you're enjoying the stories that you're listening to. It's probably a good thing to listen in order at the moment, for this week anyway. Doesn't matter from then on. But this week, if I read one story a day and one story a day from the Bible, you can follow through until Easter. Okay, stay safe. Keep being kind to one another and taking care of mum and dad and anybody else who's living in your house. Any bigger children, look after your little brothers and sisters. I know that can be annoying sometimes, but this is a very unique time when we're at home. So this is goodbye from me for tonight. See you tomorrow. Bye.